Brent Laminack, one of the locals here who helped put things together. I serve as the treasurer of Joomla Day Atlanta. It's been fun. My wife Marla is on the front row who greeted you at the front desk. Some later than others. Some people are still dragging in from the pre-party last night. So anyway, see some of my students from Emory. Hey. Good to have you here. I've probably prepared way too much stuff to talk about, but we'll rip into it. Joomla security. Generally, when somebody talks about Joomla security, they say, make sure you update your software. And that's about as far as they go. We're going to do a little different perspective here. First, we're going to ask, what is web security? Well, some of the letters I can put after my name are CISSP, Certified Information System Security Professional. You got to take a big, long, multiple choice test for that. And the CISSP body of knowledge says that there are 3 pillars, 3 attributes, 3 properties, 3 security goals, 3 fundamental aspects, 3 critical information characteristics of security. And if you ever take your CISSP class test and one of the answers is what I'm about to show you, mark it, because that's the right one. They're big on this, all right? And what they're big on is something that we call the CIA TRIAD. It's not the Central Intelligence Agency in security. It is the sort of 3-legged stool that security rests upon. First is confidentiality. What's confidentiality? It means users can only see what they're supposed to see and nothing else. All right? Second, the I is integrity. Data can't be tampered with or modified. And the A is availability. Users can access the data whenever they need. All right? These are the 3 parts of computer security. All right? Maybe to your organization, one of these is more important than the others, but they all need to be there. For instance, for banks, integrity is very important. For online brokerages, availability. For the military, number 1 is confidentiality. In the military, hey, you blow up the whole building, everything gets lost, fine, as long as the bad guys can't see it. So different organizations have different priorities, but the managers are always going to ask, so how much is all this going to cost me? Well, here's something that I've never seen discussed anywhere else. I need to write it up at some point, but look for this graph. Vertical axis is cost. The horizontal axis is how much downtime you have, say, per year. All right? The more downtime you have per year, the more it's going to cost you, obviously. If you're a e-tailer or e-commerce provider, the more that you're down, the more it's going to cost you in lost sales, right? Right. Now, how do you prevent downtime? You throw money at it. Right? You spend money to prevent downtime. So, in order to get lesser amounts of downtime, you have to follow the green curve there and spend more money, right? Well, if anybody's taken simple economics, Economics 101, you know what's coming next, right? We got intersecting curves, so we add them up and we get our total cost, all right, for downtime, all right? So if we allow a lot of downtime, our cost is going to be high because we're down all the time. If we're spending a lot of money to prevent downtime, that's going to cost us a lot of money because we got redundant servers and all kinds of infrastructure. So the surprising thing from this curve is you're spending the right amount of money on security if the amount of money you spend per year equals the amount of revenue loss per year. Have anybody ever heard that one talked about before? We'll call this the Laminack curve. Or something like that instead of the Leffler curve. All right? So Again, it depends on your organization. If you're doing an awful lot of e-commerce transactions per day, tens of thousands of dollars per day, you know, you're going to have to spend some money to prevent that downtime. I run a little website here in town called OSSAtlanta.org that tries to keep up with all the little open source news groups. I don't make any money off that. How much do I spend on keeping it up? Not much, because I don't make any money. All right. So how much should you spend on security? It's when the amount you're losing from downtime equals the amount you're spending to prevent the downtime. All right.
How do you calculate the cost of downtime?
Well, for some things that's real tricky. For e-commerce sites, it's pretty easy. You just figure out your average sales per day and divide it, you know, see how much you're selling.
You're completely eliminating the user experience and the credibility factor.
Yeah, you know, those are some more difficult to quantify costs. It's still there. I mean, yeah, if somebody goes to your site and it's down, they're not going to be likely to come back. Yeah, it's sort of like in marketing, trying to figure out user equity. You know, sometimes you just gotta make your best estimate. Yeah, good points. As a matter of fact, if you want a t-shirt, I'll give it to you. Afterwards, that's a great question.
What does the t-shirt say?
It's a mantle t-shirt. So, yeah.
I was just going to comment that I have a rate, my personal rate that I want to value myself at. And if my downtime is 4 hours, and then I charge myself 4 hours of work,
Yeah.
then that's one way I say, oh, no, I'm just going to hire someone and get it because it's much cheaper.
Okay.
Or not.
Very good. Okay, so let's take a look at the big pieces of infrastructure, what it takes to keep your website up and going. DNS mainly does hostname to IP mapping. Email providers, and there's at least 3 kinds of email we'll talk about: transactional, marketing, etc. Your web hosting provider, your database service, your website analytics. All these come into keeping your website going. So here is your typical shared hosting web-based control panel. This one's, what is that? That's cPanel, you know? There's Plus, there's cPanel, zPanel, Virtual Min, you name them. There's about half a dozen of them. And it's this web-based panel that lets you control your DNS and your email and your FTP and your database and everything. It's a wonderful thing. It's a lovely bunch of eggs. Trouble is they're all in one basket. You know? And what happens if you drop that basket? All your eggs break, you know? Or as, you know, one of the things that Amazon teaches us with their Amazon Web Services is decouple services, all right? Try and make it so that if one piece of your infrastructure fails, the others carry on, all right? You'll hear the web services, the cloud hosting people really, really hammer in on this. Or as the preacher of Ecclesiastes says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If one of them falls down, they can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. I thought it was a good quote. All right, let's look around various things like DNS. Domain name service can do all kinds of mapping. It can tell the world who your name servers are, where to send your email, but mostly it maps your domain name to an IP address. All right, so you can remember to go to Amazon.com, not 174.28.37.248 or whatever that is. All right. DNS was designed to be a distributed, highly available database. As it usually provides the name to IP address mappings and other information. Here's my suggestion, first thing on decoupling. Let your name registrar, where you bought your domain name, let them do the DNS. All right? Why? Because good name registrars have good DNS infrastructures. All right? They have redundancy built in, and it's essentially free. It's part of the cost of name registration. That's what you pay your $15 a year for, all right? They have good web-based tools. you know, GoDaddy, Network Solutions, Moniker, whatever. Is that our latest register? What? Rick, you registered at what? 1 a.m. this morning or something? Hey, Rick.
And I've been late for everything since.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's part of what you're paying for. Use it, all right? And if your registrar doesn't do DNS, get a different registrar, all right? You know, some will try and upsell you, like GoDaddy will allow you 100 DNS records. I've never come close to using that, all right? Use it, it's there. That way, if your hosting provider goes down, DNS still runs. If one fails, the other one's still there. Because to the internet, there's a huge difference between, oh, your web server is offline, and, oh, that domain doesn't exist. All right? There's a big difference between those two. That domain doesn't exist says, I'm not even going to try again. Web server down says, okay, the web server's down, I'll try again later. All right? Let's talk about types of email now. There's personal account-based email, brent@laminack.com, you know, that's where you can write me. There's bulk or marketing email, you know, that you use to keep in touch with everybody who's interested in you. And there's transactional email. That is somebody registers on your Joomla site, all right? And, you know, it sends out an email that says, oh, you just registered, you know, here's the details. Or they click the I forgot my password link. And it's an email saying, click this link to recover your password. And of course, they get an invalid token. Right? That's happened to everybody, right? That's transactional email, all right? The user initiates an automated transaction, they get a transaction. So let's talk about each of those. Personal email. I've been a sysadmin since 1982, okay? A lot of years, all right? And I can just tell you, hosting email is tough. Really, really tough, all right? I mean, handling spam detection and prevention, really, really tough. With various ways of authentication, you know, DKIM or SPF records, keeping all those up to date. It is tough. Users never delete an email, and it eats up disk space like all get out. It's just tough. And you know, then people that want calendars and you know all this kind of integration. I helped a pediatrician office here in town set up their own email client some years ago, and finally the email server keeled over and died. And I was working with my friend to, you know, he said, well, we need to get in there and resurrect it. I said, no, you don't. You call up Google. You know, just let Google do it. $50 per user per year. You get the calendar, you get sites, you get great spam protection, you get all like that. I had 3 sons went to North Georgia College here, all right? North Georgia, like a lot of other colleges, just outsourcing all their campus email to Google, all right? They do it so well, all right? And again, it decouples so that if you're, you know, I see a lot of the shared web hosting that, you know, it directs your email to the same machine that your website's on. Well, if that machine goes down, you don't get email. You can't get email saying, hey, your website's down, all right? That's sort of like the old joke, what's the one thing you can't say in sign language? I know? You can't say, please turn the lights back on. These are the jokes, folks. Okay. These are the jokes. You know, so if your host goes down, and that's the way you get your email, what's the one thing you can't, what's the one email message then you can't get?
Your site is down.
Your site is down. All right? See, the joke was appropriate. Okay, let Google do it, all right? Marketing email, all right? That's your permission-based marketing. You know, they sign up for the for your mailing list. The issue here is deliverability, because if you're on a shared host with 1,000 other websites and one of them starts spamming, guess what? The IP address of your host gets a bad reputation. And people start not liking the email coming from your website. All right? Deliverability, real option. Doing themes or good, good presentable, deliverable, attractive emails, marketing emails, those are tough. You know, doing list management with your double opt-in and unsubscribes, all those are tough. So, should we host our own marketing email or not? Now, for self-hosted, that means a Joomla component. It provides the best integration. I mean, somebody logs onto your site, they can manage all of their email subscriptions. But again, that IP address reputation management is difficult. Somebody on your server, one of those other 1,000 sites, starts spamming, you get dinged for it. Or you can go to a commercial provider. Yeah, you pay more and it's not integrated, but you may have better deliverability. Now, for us Joomla folks, this boils down to ACYMAILING or MAILCHIMP. You know, ACYMAILING or some other email provider. And for decoupling, I'm going to say go with MailChimp. All right. There are other providers out there, Constant Contact, you know, you name them. Even if they weren't a sponsor, I'd still say MailChimp because I like them. All right. So I'm going to say go with MailChimp. Transactional email. That's, you know, part of this user-initiated thing. Generally sent by the website. You know, your password, reset, invoices. Joomla provides 3 mechanisms for this. You dig way down in the global configuration on the lower right-hand corner, the part you never look at. There's a pull down that says send out by PHP mail, send mail, or an external SMTP server. Again, to decouple that, I'm going to say use a transactional email provider. Somebody that specializes in sending out email from your website. All right? Why? You get better deliverability, and you know you're not dinged by some idiot on the same shared server as you, tarnishing the IP reputation. I've used 2 of them: MailChimp's Mandrill app or Amazon Web Services Simple Email Server. Both of them work well. It takes a little more effort to set up Amazon SES. I'm going to say go with Mandrill because they have prettier pictures. They have nice charts. Yeah?
Are you talking about like when someone requests a password reset?
Yep.
So it's some, okay.
That's a transactional email. Or if you're running an e-commerce site, it sends out the invoice.
Okay.
You know, anything that the user initiates and to your website and expects an automatic email reply to.
So like the MailChimp Mandrill app somehow integrates with Joomla.
Yeah, real easy. Like I said, down that lower right-hand corner, you have to set up, when you choose SMTP, you have to set up the outgoing SMTP server. Well, that's something like smtp.mandrillapp.com. The port is generally 25. Mandrill uses 587, I think. And a username and password. And you get that when you sign up for Mandrill. I love Mandrill because like all the other MailChimp products, they give you a free tier. You can send out 12,000 emails per month for free. Sweet.
And Mandrill's different from the actual MailChimp.
MailChimp, yes.
Newsletter type.
Yeah. Mandrill is actually the people handing out the t-shirts today and the people providing us lunch, assuming I shut up in 35 minutes. Okay. They are the transactional email arm of MailChimp. MailChimp does bulk emails, Mandrill does one at a time. Okay? So, 2 thumbs way up on Mandrill. Yeah.
So just a quick question on that. If you have already decoupled, say, all of your client emails, so the only thing on the server are, say, your Joomla installs, would you still suggest decoupling them?
Yes.
So the only thing?
Yes. Because, somebody calls up, I didn't get my invoice. I didn't get my email. what do you do?
Well,
Dig through log files, or, you know, with Mandrill, you log on and it gives you a running history of every email you sent, whether it was bounced, whether it came back. You can even drill down and read the content of the email.
Okay.
That's pretty sweet.
That's, okay.
So you're talking about all of your like VirtuMart combinations and things like that.
Every one of them. Yep. You know, because most of your, you know, shared hosting or, you know, anything with a cPanel, log files suck on there. They just really, really suck. You know, but Mandrill gives you pretty graphs and charts. You know, showing, you know, 98.5% of them are, of your emails were delivered, and oh, you got a hard bounce back from this person. Yeah.
So Mandrill for the transactional, and then, you know, MailChimp is an option for the bulk.
Right.
Do they share data? So if I bought a product on VirtuMart, and then, you know, somehow
only loosely.
Can I add that?
You can take your MailChimp email templates and import them into Mandrill, okay? And it's the same username and password you use on both. But other than that, no, they really don't share.
That you could manually export users and stuff.
Yeah. So, not many people use transactional email here, I guess. But, couple of these.
Is there any security advantages for using like a web service?
Well, only security in the broad terms we're talking about here in terms of availability. Yeah. Okay. Mandrill is up to 99 point, I mean, they had about 3 minutes of downtime last year. So, you remember that CIA, the availability, they're really good on the availability.
Couldn't they save your reputation if you got massively spammed though?
Yeah. And, well, first of all, it is possible for somebody to break into your Joomla site and use it to send out spam. But the thing is, Mandrill throttles the amount of emails it sends out per hour. So you're not, it will never send out 10,000 emails per hour.
But it'll queue them up?
It'll queue them up, and you can, you know, dequeue them if you want.
Because HostGator will take the first 500 and throw the next 500 away.
Oh, that's sweet of them.
And not let you know.
And not let you know. Yeah. Okay. So yes, thanks Mandrill for the lunch. Okay, let's talk about web hosting here. Most people use shared hosting. There are several flavors of those. Sort of the next step up is virtual private server or some sort of virtualization. And then if you have a really busy site, dedicated server. This is where I think hosting really hasn't kept up with the state of the art for the past couple of years. But first, let's talk about shared hosting. This is your typical directory structure. You know, websites that are made for www, vhost, your account, their account, your first site, their site, and then maybe a www or a public HTML directory under there. That's starting to look familiar. You probably can't traverse the directory up too much up above your account. You probably only see like the bottom 1 or 2 directories, all right? Unix, which is, and Linux, which is almost what all these are hosted on, sort of has 3 layers of permission. Who owns the file, who is in the owner's group, and then everybody else, all right? So the simplest way to set up Apache is all these files are owned by Apache, and then you own your files and they own their files. That's okay.
They being your hosting provider?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they being somebody else on your shared host.
Okay.
You know, the 1,000 other people out there.
Right.
This is okay, except I've actually seen attacks on Joomla where somebody infects one of these other sites running Joomla 1.0 or something and manages to put their nasty files on your website. I've seen it happen. In fact, if you look hard enough, there are YouTube videos out there showing you how to do it.
Oh,
Yeah, I fought against a hacker in Colombia. That's a whole other talk. But yeah, he hacked into one of my Joomla sites and had a video on YouTube showing you how to do it. It was crazy. So, you know, what makes this happen is you're all part of the same group. You're all part of the Apache group. Apache is running as the Apache user. Well, a way to get rid of that is not only for you to own your own files, but for you to be in your own group, and the other user to own his files and be in his own group. All right, so we don't have any shared ownership between our files. And the Apache program that module that does that is called SUExec. All right. But there are issues there. Normal Apache, with everybody in the same Apache group, easy to set up, but more prone to attacks from those other users who watch the nasty YouTube video. The SUExec is less prone to attacks from others, but it's harder to set up. I went to the Apache documentation page of how to set it up, and literally there are 20 hoops you have to jump through to make it work right. This isn't easy, all right? You screw up any one of those and you lose your protection, all right? And you know, you'll see Joomla installed, component install says, oh, copy this to this directory and make sure it's permission 775. Won't work with SUExec. Absolutely will not work, all right? So there's pros and cons there. Well, there's another layer of protection we can go through, and that's a PHP directive called open-base-dir, which says, all right, PHP, the only directory you're allowed to open is your public HTML directory and everything under it. You can't go back up the directory structure up to your site 1, their site 2, your account, their account, you can't go up there. Open-base-dir. Yeah, most everybody does that. It's pretty simple. Well, really, the easiest thing is just eliminate all the other users, right? Use a virtual private server, so you don't have anybody else, or some other virtualization, where you're apparently the only user on the machine. Well, you say, well, I've checked out the prices of virtual servers, and you know, my XYZ hosting is $10 a month. How much are virtual private servers going for from, say, GoDaddy or 1&1?
I'd serve one about $70 a month.
$70 a month? That's kind of high end. Anybody else?
I think it starts like 30.
Yeah, it starts about 30, something like that. Sound about right? Yeah.
Yeah, I pay 100, but they totally work with me to customize it any way I want it.
Yeah.
So it's worth it. You just get enough clients to pay for it.
Yeah. How's free sound? Yeah. You can go to aws.amazon.com right now and sign up for a free tier virtual server, and they'll give it to you for a year for free. That's not much of a server. It's a gig of memory. It's 8 gig of disk. But it's your own virtual server, free.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Or more of a statement, probably. This speaks to VPSs, which is great, and I think it's the right way to go, certainly. That's not for everybody. There's certainly some administrative overhead to managing one of these things.
There it is.
When we get into the single user accounts, which may make sense if you have a single website, what happens in the instance where you have multiple websites in that environment, and you have something running, let's say 1.5 or 1.x, and that is vulnerable, that has you know, the ability to be hacked, even through automated scans, right? And from there, everything else is at risk. Can you speak to that a bit?
I have about 2 slides.
Awesome.
Good. Yeah, there is some overhead to this, but the point is, if you're concerned about security and want to run a high security system, even if you buy an AWS micro tier, if you prepay your points and all like this, you get one for about $10 a month, which ain't bad. Yeah.
There's a huge price war going on in this whole space right now.
Google just fired a shot across their bow last week, didn't they?
Between Amazon and Microsoft and
AWS just dropped prices again.
Yes, because there's a reason for us. Yes, because Google just dropped their price, and on light loaded instances, this is you don't run every time. Google is now cheaper. All right. Amazon's still cheaper if you got like running a web server that's up and going all the time. But yeah, I think in the past 2 years, Amazon has dropped their prices 22 times. All right. Such a deal. All right. So here's the way generically Linux runs. You got your hardware. Here's Linux, and the light green is what we call user space. That's where users log in and run their processors, and you have user A, user B, user C, like that. There's new software out. Well, it's not really new. It's been out for a number of years. It just hit version 1.0. Other operating systems have had this. Solaris AIX have had it for a while. This thing called Linux containers, LXC. Anybody ever bump into those? It's one instance of Linux, but see these vertical lines? It's multiple user spaces. Each user has their own little space. If you do a PS to show processes, all you see are your processes. If you do an LS to view files, all you see are your files. It's like you're alone on this system. In fact, they want to make it as close as possible to running your own virtual server. Now, LXC just hit version 1.0. It's been at like 0.99 for the past, I don't know how many years. But this is one thing I would like to see the hosting community embrace more, is Linux containers. They are much, much higher security than the shared host, than the shared user space. There is a BSD jails. Anybody ever bump into BSD jails? All right, that was the mistake they learned by when they came up with Linux containers. So this is not true virtualization. That's pretty dang close, and I really, really hope that the hosting community will move in this direction. All right. Now, true virtualization looks like this. You have the hardware, and on that you're running multiple versions, multiple copies of Linux, and each with their own little user. All right, and then there's this little software shim under there that's called a hypervisor. VMware's and you name it. But the trouble with that is everybody's got to run their own copy of Linux. As you say, you get one copy of Linux per user. Well, that's wasteful. So I like the LXC version better, but haven't seen any hosting company that's offering it yet. So keep your eyes open. I think it's a great direction. Does that help your question there with containerization?
That, you know, that's still very labor intensive, if you will. That's still it requires some technical acumen, right? So when you start talking about shared environments and the end user, that's certainly not going to be something that's going to shield them from installing and leaving old instances of Joomla.
Yes, but the idea being that you put all your old 1.5 people under one user and your new people under a different user, and they can't cross that line.
Yeah, again, that's an administrative level thing. So if you have a shared environment and have 10 installs, that's not going to account for that.
Yeah, but this is as close as I can get right now.
So I understand.
That's what we do.
Wait, what is?
Segregate all the 1.5 people from the 2.5.
Yeah.
Server.
Yeah, put them on a separate server or in
no,
a
separate
partition.
Different servers.
But
we encourage them to upgrade.
That's again another resource.
Well, back when I ran my web design and hosting company, the way we encouraged them to upgrade was, 1.0 and 1.5 sites now require segregating to a different server, which means higher maintenance, which means we got to pass the cost along to you. And it's no longer going to be $10 a month. It's now $20 a month. And next year it's going to be $30 a month. And pretty soon migrating starts looking pretty good.
Or you can do what Osmond did, just upgrade everybody
Oh, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. That was a bad one. Yeah. You had a question?
I think it answered my question, so thanks.
All right. So, true virtualization. Now, the dedicated server looks like this. You know, you have one user, one copy of Linux on one instance of hardware. Anybody got a Raspberry Pi? All right. How much is a Raspberry Pi?
About 35, where you
Yeah. Without the power supply, 35 bucks. Yeah. Can it run Linux and run Apache? Yeah.
Yeah, we actually saw a neat demo for it at the WC last year. Yep.
Yeah. And there's a new class of machines coming in above that Intel and a couple other people are doing. It's going to be much more powerful for the $100 price range. All right. Anybody see the announcement of the Amazon Fire box?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
How much is it?
99 bucks.
99 bucks. How much memory?
2 gigs.
2 gig of RAM. How many processor cores?
4.
4 cores? 4 cores, 2 gig of RAM for 99 bucks. Dang. You know, at that point, dedicated hardware is starting to look, you know, pretty compelling now. You know? So look for this to happen in the hosting space in the next year or so. All right? Look at somebody putting those on like server blades. All right? And dedicated, you know, I think once this hits, the cost of dedicated servers is going to drop like a rock. Yeah.
Well, I like it. Right now, I'm with HostGator.
Yep.
Is HostGator going to come and tell me, oh, Mr. Harris, we got something new and it's a lot cheaper? So how do you find it? You guys stay up on the industry?
Yeah, just,
HostGator's
yeah.
not doing it.
Come back next year and I'll update you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you just got to stay up on it.
Okay.
But I claim dedicated hardware is going to be a viable option here pretty soon, just like dedicated VPSs, thanks to Amazon and people like that, are starting to be a viable option.
Who makes that $99 server?
Asus and Intel are each coming out with one. I have an Intel one that my wife ordered me for my birthday that it's on back order. I'll let you know. Drop me an email. I'll let you know how it goes. Yeah. You can buy them on Amazon. Right. All right. Web application firewalls. All right, what's that? They try and prevent hacker attacks. They sit in front of your website and try and trap or block nasty URLs, nasty things happening. Now the simplest is that .htaccess file that ships with Joomla. Ever looked at the bottom of the .htaccess file? It's got all this nasty stuff, blocks common exploits. Yeah, well that's what it's doing, all right? It's a security measure. If you don't use it, use it, all right?
You can understand it.
Huh?
You can understand it.
You don't need to understand it, just put it there. You know, trust me. Now, the default Joomla htaccess only comes with 6-8 rules. If you buy a piece of software called ACYMAILING tools, it adds to it like 250 more rules. All right.
Automatically adds those to the HTTP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Automatically adds them. Does a better job. Let's see. Oh, hit the wrong button. Another option is what we call an external web application firewall. And then there's some other software called MODSECURITY. We'll talk about. Yeah, there's our default Joomla.htaccess file. Block any security script trying to set a cookie. Okay, external web application firewall is a separate box that sits on the network in front of your web server. Blocks this nasty traffic. One of the big ones is Cisco ACE. All right. There are other manufacturers, Barracuda, Citrix, SiteLock, WatchGuard. The trouble with this is if you're in a shared hosting environment, you can't install it. Now the only ways you can install it is if you have a co-location facility and put your own, rack up your own servers. Yeah?
You actually,
It's good.
You actually could do the SiteLock. HostMonster was offering that, where you could actually install it.
Security as well. So when you start talking about web application firewall, start thinking about the cloud, start thinking about DNS changes and records that are putting these proxies in front of your actual sites versus inline appliances, which is certainly not something that you're going to see in today's shared environment.
You're not going to see it in today's shared environment.
Yeah, and it's not a sustainable approach. Certainly.
Yeah, and you know, it's tough. I mean, I had a client, who decided, oh, we're going to run our own server. I tried to talk them out of it, but you know, they now have a server in the closet, right? Okay.
Yeah, I would encourage to look at the edge. Anytime you're looking at HD access files or things that are on your environment, it's too late. You're letting the perpetrators get to your site. And DDoS is something that you're not going to be able to control with HD access. So you want to look at WAFs on the edge.
Right. But you know, they got hacked into. They're still running 1.5, right? They got hacked into. They bought a Cisco Ace. They plugged it in. Hey, we're good. Well, guess who called me last week saying they got hacked into? They called again. You know, because in any of these, it's only as good as the rule set. Right? There's an Apache module called MODSECURITY. It runs on Apache Nginx IIS. It's a software add-on that allows you to define rules to detect and avert hacking. Again, maybe a little too late, but better, you know, if you don't have control over your hardware, it may be the only option you have, you know, is a software solution. Again, it's only as good as the rule set. Now, there is the Open Web Application Security Project has an open source set of rules that you can deploy. And one of our sponsors, who will be speaking this afternoon, also sells a commercial rule set. I think their rule set is 25,000 rules, last I saw.
Who's that?
That was the people giving the security talk this afternoon.
Security?
Yeah.
That's us.
That's you, yes.
Yes.
That is you. All right. You weren't here. Yeah, okay. Is that about right? Is that how many rules you have?
What's that? Yeah, there's somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, and again, you got to keep it updated, and that's what your annual subscription is for. It is to keep them updated. It's sort of like antivirus. You know, it's basically signature based. You know, when you see this happening, it's bad. So don't let that happen. All right. There are other things you can do. There are simpler things like Joomla sites. I did just a simple set of rules to deny access to the administrator directory to anybody outside the U.S. All right, it's kind of heavy-handed, but you know, all I had was U.S. clients, and it worked real well until one of my clients calls me up and says, "Hey, I can't get to my admin, my /administrator." I said, "Really? Why? I can get to it." We went back and forth, back and forth. Finally said, "Oh yeah, did I mention I'm visiting my parents in Switzerland?" No, you didn't. No. So I had to work. I had to explain that I worked real hard to keep them wily Swiss hackers out of our software.
Of which there are many.
Yeah, of which there are many. Okay, we talked about control panels.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
How did you implement that?
It is a big, long, nasty list of IP addresses.
It goes where?
It goes in one of your Apache configs, and usually like /etc/httpd conf.d. There was a file that said something like deny from, all, allow from, and list all.
That's HT-access.
Huh?
That's HT-access.
No, it's not HT-access. It's actually the, you could do it in HT-access, but no, this was actually in a Apache config.
Okay, which is better than
It is 6 1/2 dozen the other. This was for all the 100 sites I had on this server, so that way I could only have it in one spot. So, yeah, it's just a big, long, nasty list of IP addresses. Yeah. Control panels, web-based interfaces to all your admin functions. cPanel plus virtual min, easy to use, Problem. Security issues. Problem. How often do you update the software on your control panel? All right. I have had hosting companies take down hosting accounts because the control panel that they installed on my server, for some reason they didn't want to update.
Nice.
Yeah. So they say goodbye. So I say control panel should either be turned off when not in use, or if you can live without them, live without them. All right? And the need for control panel diminishes greatly if you are decentralized.
That's right.
Got your email over here at Google? Well, you don't need that. Got your DNS over here at Network Solutions? You don't need that part of the control panel. Okay? Database. Everybody uses MySQL. How much redundancy is there on that shared hosting you have? Yeah, not much. Is it master-slave? How often does the company do backup? Does your hosting company do backup? It really ought to be off on a separate box, separate, well-managed. Now, I don't say very many good things about GoDaddy hosting, but this is one of the things they do right. You know, when you're setting up Joomla on a GoDaddy account, the host name for the database isn't localhost. It's one of their database servers. Okay? That's a good way of doing it. Like I said, you can go to JoomlaHostingReviews.com and you can read the comments about GoDaddy. They are near the bottom of the barrel, but this is one of the things that they do right. Okay, analytics. Remember the old days? We analyzed log files, Webalizer, AWStats. Anybody remember those horrible things? Ugh. All right. Everybody outsources it already. Everybody uses Google Analytics or Clicky or Ubra or something like that. Right? You've already decentralized that. Have you turned off your log file analysis? Or is it still running in the background just being a security hole? All right? Turn it off if you don't use it. Okay? So, gets us down to the end. Time to just about right. And so, in conclusion, oh yeah, keep your software up to date. Okay? And check the vulnerable extensions list at vel.joomla.org. All right? You have to say this. You have to say keep your software up to date. Yeah?
Just a quick question. Talking about using a virtual private server, setting up a dedicated server, a lot of those you're going to need a sysadmin for. Do you have recommendations on finding sysadmins? It's not like finding a web designer where you can look at a portfolio and be like, oh, here you go.
I am available for children's birthday parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and sysadmin. So see me afterwards. I can point you in some right directions. But you know, yeah, 1982. I've been doing this since, but I help lots of people.
Awesome.
And if not, go to your local Linux user group or Linux user group. There's those everywhere. Yeah. Yes.
When you just suggested turn off the log file analysis,
Mm-hmm.
which software were you talking about?
AWStats or Webalizer.
Okay.
Generally, in your control panel, way down, buried in a dusty corner, is log file analysis, and it'll give you your choice of AWStats or Webalizer or
Right,
none.
I've seen that.
Choose none.
Or none. Okay.
Yes, choose none. All it does, because if you're not using it, it's just chewing up CPU time and providing a security hole.
What if you do use it?
Oh, if you do use it, fine, but consider using Google Analytics or Clicky or Woopra. They give a lot better numbers. A lot better numbers than the log file analysis. All right? Woo! Other Q&A. All right? Let's see, who did I owe the t-shirt to? Yes, you. Okay? You get a t-shirt, I like you, you got a great beard, come down and I'll give you the other prize, okay? All right. Facial hair, stay together. Okay. Other questions, answers? Other questions, anything else? Email Brent@laminack.com. There I am. Be glad to help you out, answer Yeah.
One question. If you are going to outsource your transactional mail or all your site mail into a mandrel, would you still recommend against using ACYMAILING or another mail provider on your site?
Not necessarily, no. No, they can work together very well. They can work together very well. But speaking of mandrel, thanks for the lunch. And anything else? Going once, going twice?
Who did you, can you repeat who you suggested for just like the regular mail?
Transaction, I mean, bulk email.
Now like the marketing mail.
Google Apps.
Oh, Google Apps for your personal email. Yeah, $50 per user per year.
How many email addresses can you use? Just one?
That's per, well, you can make as many aliases as you want. Info at, sales at, can all go to this one. But I'm talking logged in user, per user that has a password and logs in. $50 per user per year. Worth every penny is what I've been using for years.
What if you have like, I mean, let's say you have hundreds of thousands of accounts, right?
Yikes.
Right, so, because that maybe you just have lots of clients.
Yeah.
So what would you say maybe putting all that mail on its own server?
Yeah, that would be my first guess, yeah. But, I've run hosting, I've run email a lot of times, and people expect email to be free. And people expect email support to be free, and that's one of the better decisions I've ever made in my life is getting out of the email business and just saying, look, here, go to google.com/a, sign up, I'll help you set it up, but it'll provide tons more functionality than I ever could. Calendar, sites, documents, you name it. Make that sell, but yeah, in lieu of that, dedicated email server is probably with lots of disk is and running Clam AV and Spam Assassin and all like that. Yeah, I've said all those.
I think you need to be able to say to your customer too, yeah, you don't want to pay for email, but what's more important in your business than email? I mean, it's arguably probably bad.
And what's your time worth slogging through all this spam you're getting? Yeah.
Are you not recommending like Outlook.com, which they went free to kind of steal the business from Google?
Yeah, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I like Google Mail. Good.
Yeah. Office 365 is cheap too.
And down a lot. One of the SysAdmin groups showed his incident log for Office 365 for the past month. It was like this. Said, anytime they release a new software patch, it's like you're the beta tester. Check Reddit/r/sysadmin, and boy, they will not have good things to say about Office 365 Live.
I really feel like the shared hosting environment has done a disservice to people that, hey, all the email accounts you want for $6 a month. It makes you feel like email isn't costing.
Because email is free. That's what it communicates. Email is free.